Hello, good morning. I hope that you've all had a good week and that you are well. Thank you for everybody who emailed, messaged me, left comments, inquiring how I have been health-wise. On Monday morning, I went to the doctors and they diagnosed me with a chest infection and they gave me antibiotics and they really made a big difference. I am most definitely on the mend. I've got so much I've got to catch up with, but not being active has meant lots of stitching times, so I've got 3 finishes to show you. But first of all, I have got to talk about this amazing sampler, Margaret Ferguson, the Manse of Harlow. Isn't that a stunner? That border is a Bobby Dazzler of a border. So beautiful. I'm just going to give you a moment to just take in that border. This sampler is worked entirely in cross stitch over 2, with the exception of the window panes, which are satin stitches. So for those who like to stitch on Aida, all in Aida, you can stitch this sampler. And if you don't like doing satin stitches on Aida, you can just substitute those with cross stitches. Amazing. This border would look beautiful just in its own right. That would make a beautiful sort of like little band sampler to put on a spool. It's just amazing. When Sandra and I saw this sampler come up for sale, it was just a no-brainer. We had to have this for the hats portfolio. Excuse me. And what is really lovely is that we know a lot about the Manse of Harlow. Now, Margaret stitched this sampler when she was 9 years of age, but we've been unable to sort of find Margaret because there was a couple of them and we couldn't tell which one was our Margaret. But there are clues in this sampler that will help us date it by researching the Manse of Harlow. Now, Harlow House, that's what it's called today, Harlow House. It's set in 3 acres of grounds and can be found near I'm going to be told off for pronouncing it this way, Inverary, Inverurie, which is in Aberdeenshire in the northeast of Scotland. We know that the house stands in an elevated position with spectacular views over the surrounding countryside. It was designed by William Henderson as a manse for the Free Kirk, and it was completed around 1843. Now, the church has long since disappeared and this is now a private home. There are pictures on the internet if you would like to just pop in the search term Harlaw, Harlaw, house or manse, and you will see pictures come up. And you will notice that some of the pictures show the house with a bell tower. Now, the bell tower was added in 1883 by Alexander Colley, who was a slate merchant from Aberdeen. He bought the house and he did various alterations to it. Now, because Alexander Colley bought the house to live in, rather than occupy it as a minister in the Free Kirk, This would then have become, in 1883, Harlaw House, not Manse. And of course, there is no tower in this sampler. So we believe that the sampler was stitched between 1843 and 1883. I'm favouring more towards the 1880s than the 1840s, because in my research I found that these beautiful bay windows weren't on the original house or manse. So that's why I'm pushing this sampler back towards the 1880s. Okay, we write about all of this extensively in the booklet, so there's lots of information for you to read about the area, about the history of the area, and about the manse and house. The sampler is stitched with 22 different colours. It's a beautiful palette. The colours are so soft yet so colourful at the same time. Now, the sampler was reproduced by Sandra, and she did an amazing job of charting the sampler. And the sampler was stitched by Leona Sweeney. So although this is a Scottish sampler, it's been reproduced in Australia. And you know, it is just absolutely stunning. Leona and Sandra have had some wonderful collaborations on samplers, and I thought I would pop in some photographs of some of the other samplers that Leona and Sandra have collaborated on. They really have reproduced some amazing samplers. Margaret's sampler is 271 stitches by 260 stitches. So if you were going to stitch this sampler on 14 count Aida, 28 count linen, the design would be 19.36 inches wide by 18.57. If you were going to stitch her on 18 count Aida, 32 count linen, she would be 1506 by 1444. The model was stitched on 46 count linen, and it measures 11.78 inches by 11.3. The sampler was stitched on Zweigart base linen that was overdyed by Fox and Rabbit to the shade of Eureka. I've had several inquiries from needleworkers in the UK asking if I could suggest an alternative linen because of not being able to access the Fox and Rabbit linen easily in the UK. And my suggestion would be cockle shell from Tabby Cat linen. It's a very, very similar colour. The other colour that you could go for if you prefer a slightly sort of just very slightly richer sort of buttermilk cream would be the Bee's Knees by Tabby Cat linen. But the sampler was stitched on Eureka from Fox and Rabbit, and it looks absolutely beautiful on that linen. Margaret Ferguson's booklet is in an A4 format with a separate bookmark come label, and the booklet is available on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website and from needlework stores around the world. Stores have these booklets, and they are with our distributors as well. If you prefer the PDF version, that's available on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website for instant download. I am hearing of more and more needleworkers that are finding the PDFs are so versatile. I love stitching off my phone, so when I have my linen on the frame and stand, my phone sits here and I've got my graph blown up, and I can stitch without my eyes having to refocus distances, because literally my blown up chart is sitting right next to my stitching. Enjoy Margaret, she's very, very beautiful, and Hats is so thrilled to have this beautiful sampler in our portfolio. As I've got my frame in my hand, this is my latest start. Here she is, Clara Easingwood. Now, normally I'm pretty good and I would have religiously worked across and then down, but I couldn't wait to start to put this dividing band in. It's beautiful. And I also wanted to see how that green was working with the pink and the blue. Here's the original sampler. Really, really pleased with how these colours are matching up. That's a beautiful match to the sampler. And then we've got this beautiful pink as well. This pink had slight mauve tones in it, and this colour is just perfect. And then here is the green that we've gone for. Very pleased with the match on that. The sampler hasn't got too many more colours. We've got these sort of like egg yolk yellow, and then we have sort of it's almost like a buttermilk colour, but not quite. I've chosen a colour, but I haven't tested it on the fabric to see how it's sitting. Now, when I showed this sampler before, I said that I felt this was going to be a really lovely grey-green turquoisey blue. Now, I took this out of the frame specifically to see the back colours, and unfortunately it is stuck to a board, and by pulling it off I'm going to damage the sampler. So I've just taken it off enough so I can just look down there and just see a little hint of the blue. And the blue that I've chosen is a super match to the colour on the back. Now, I do think that this colour on the back has faded slightly. There is no fading whatsoever in this pink. It's the same on the back as it is on the front. This is the blue I've chosen, and I'm really, really pleased. So far I have 4 definite colours. You never know how colours work until you try them and how they sit on the linen. Such a shame when a sampler has been glued to a board. That's not sitting very straight, is it? The linen I chose is from Tabby Cat Linen, and this is Lichen, L-I-C-H-E-N. And this colour seems to take on the colours of the silks that you're putting on it. It's a really good background for your work. I really like it when the linen is a background. It's a canvas on which you can paint, stitch your sampler, and it showcases the stitching. I don't like it when you look at something and it is the linen that is in your face. Anyway, oh, we've got some visitors. They've been up the one staircase and down the other because I closed the gate on the on our one stairs. They're not stupid, the dogs. I've set up my little workstation for this project, and I love to coordinate, so I've chosen my light pink scissors and this beautiful sort of duck egg pair of scissors, and that's all coordinating nicely for this project. Okay, my finishes this week. When I was at the attic, Jean had these really lovely little frames for sale, which I thought were absolutely fabulous, and I picked some up because I wanted to use these for some little projects. And I have to go to the framers and get a board, but this is the first little design. Let's get that centered. It's hard doing things looking in a camera because it can be opposite. There we are, a dear friend, NP 2002. So I want to get this in this little frame, and I've got an idea for this one as well. Projects don't have to be huge things. They can just be something that you can do in an afternoon. It's really nice, to play around as well. And all you need is some graph paper, which you can actually go onto the Hats website, and in Sewing Basket and Tools, there's a drop-down menu, and you can print graph paper off from there. You need a rubber and a pencil, and you can just work out your design and stitch up something that's fun. Now, my last couple of projects have been these two items, which I purchased from Danielle Shop Craft, who is on Etsy. When Danielle is overwhelmed with orders, she closes her Etsy store and then she reopens it, and she is open at the moment. This was the one that I showed you that I was working on last week. So it's Nicola Parkman, my date of birth, and where I live. And I'm really pleased with how these have worked out. Very, very pleased. Okay, so how did I finish these? Well, I said last week that I wasn't very happy with the way I had finished the first one. Not very happy. I felt I could do it better. So when I did the second one, this is what I did. I stitched a series of Algerian eyelets, and then I used the closest ones as a guide for lacing. Now, what I do need to do is to just get a little piece of Londonderry thread, and I just need to close that up with a little invisible stitch, and at the bottom as well. On reflection, maybe I should have put my last stitch in a little bit closer, but hey ho, you learn. This is the first time that I'd actually sort of done this type of project of putting something on a spool to finish. So there we are, and I'm very pleased with how that looks. I love red, and red looks so beautiful on creme brulee linen. The colour that I used was Soie 103 499, which is a gorgeous shade of red. So that's how I finished them. I'm just delighted to have this done now. I have been very, very naughty, and I have ordered more products from Danielle, and when they arrive I will show them to you. I think two of the products I bought I will need to stitch something to go on them. Really pleased with that. Oh, and I couldn't resist putting my strawberry on the end to decorate it, and I want to find something else to hang down that will hang a little bit further, just to add something to it. Really, really pleased about that. This is a beautiful item. Everything is so well made in Danielle's store. Now, the other thing that I've stitched this week is this spool, scissor spool holder. So let me just take my scissors out and then we can have a good look at this. It's a lovely, chunky, solid spool with holes for 6 scissors. Now, as I've been doing the spool holder, I've had lots of emails and messages asking about finishing, and a lot of people express to me that they don't like to sew. They stitch, but they don't sew. And a lot of people said they don't have a sewing machine. And it made me think about how could you attach something to a spool not using any stitching or sewing whatsoever. So I have finished this in a no-sew method, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But first of all, let's just have a little look what this says. Beautiful things come together one stitch at a time. And that is so true. You know, when you start with that blank piece of linen, it's one stitch at a time. Okay, so this is how this is joined, and you can move it around, and this is really quite firm. It's not going to come away. What I did learn was that I should have just stitched another diamond band on this. So what I plan to do after this video is take this off and stitch that extra little diamond onto the band, and then it will meet up perfectly. Okay, so how did I finish this off? Well, I'm going to show you with a piece of paper. So when I took my linen off the frame, I cut the linen so that if I folded it over, it met in the middle. And that's really important that when you put this on, that you don't have different levels. You want to be able to have 2 layers of fabric all the way across, because otherwise you'll get a ridge in this. So I then pressed my linen, and then what I did, I took the edges and I turned them over and I pressed them, and then using some Decoville, this is an iron-on adhesive. So in fact, that little piece out of there is exactly what I used for the scissor spool. And it's important that when you cut this, that you cut it, that it's the entire depth, because you want it to go from top to bottom. And all you need is a little bit. That is literally the size I used for that. And what you do, you put half of it on your stitching, on the back of the stitching, adhesive side down, and you iron it on. And with Decoville, you need to let it cool down, because it's when it cools, that's when the glue sets. And then you have your flap, and you basically put it around your spool, and you put it together. And I had my quilting iron, my small little quilting iron, to do this, and I suddenly realized that my actual house iron, the tip of it, actually fitted on there. So I then just pressed the other side and allowed it to cool where the glue set, and it held together perfectly. So that is a no-sew method of finishing. Of course, you could lace it as well if you want to. So yeah, that's how I did it. The linen I used for this is creme brulee. and I'm very, very pleased with that. When my next items come, I will stitch something up that will complement the other ones that I've done, and they look really, really nice in my little sewing area of the house. These items are so beautiful that they are, you know, they really are just like items of, or home accessories really. They're very, very pretty. Oh, I love my scissor fobs. They are really so, so pretty. I heard a little whisper that Minnie McBean's will be opening their Etsy store again next weekend. So watch out for that. When Sue opened her Etsy store, was it 2 or 3 weekends ago, she literally sold out within about 12 hours. If I know the time she's opening, I will let you know so you can get on there and get yours and your natty pins as well. And a little bird told me that Sue is going to have a brand new product next weekend. Okay, what else have I got to talk about? I think that is about it for this week. Week ahead. What's happening in the week ahead? I don't know. I have got so much to do, I don't know what to start first. But I'm going to try and be really good and not overtire myself. Although I think my chest infection has cleared up, I think that I have to be careful because I am still coughing. I hope to get some walking in with the dogs, build my energy and my strength back up. Stitching wise, well, I'm going to carry on working on Clara Easingwood. This is a very pretty sampler, and I think that what I'll do now is, now I've started this band, I'm happy, I've seen all the main colours and they're working. I think that I'm going to carry on and get to the end of the row and fill in and work down properly. Very pretty. And let's just have one more look at Margaret Ferguson because she is an amazing sampler. I can't wait to see people posting their progress photographs of stitching this gorgeous, gorgeous sampler. So pretty. Okay, that's it. Until next week, stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.